Hi, I want to talk about absolute and relative truth. And to be clear at the beginning, I'm not at all questioning the phenomenological aspect of it. So, what is perceived by introspection through I don't know how many hours of meditation and inquiry and vipassana, meditation and contemplation and discussion. So the upper left and lower left quadrant is not at question for me at all. So also the intersubjective exchange of these and verification of these experiences, and of course also not the upper right where you can observe it in the brain scans. And of course, if many people would achieve these states, this would also have an influence on the lower left, lower right. But as there is only a handful of people, this is not happening at the moment. So this is not at all a question for me, and also not the high achievements of these people and the depth of their realization. What is in question for me is the attribution that is given to it, the truth claim, the ontological and maybe epistemological claims that are combined with it or maken. I think the Buddha himself probably was a very phenomenological person, and I read and heard after a lot of discussion and reasoning about it, that there are also some Buddhist scholars who say that it's a mainly phenomenological discovery and claim. But I know I'm not in alignment with many Buddhists, and especially traditional Buddhists of the Indian and even more the Tibetan traditions. In my opinion, what we see here is, of course, a transition to a transpersonal level. So it's always about the mind and the ego and the self that is coming from that, or the self-perception and how wrong it is. And from a transpersonal perspective, this is, of course, just a tiny aspect, like it's for the trans body self, the ego, the mind-made self. The body is just a segment of what can be perceived. And in my opinion, we deal with a transpersonal self, which is, of course, free of concept in a way, and extremely liberating from the confinements of the mental self. But this doesn't mean, in my opinion, that this is the last word spoken about that. Of course, as soon as we enter a new space, this is extremely open and we can't see the limits of it. We are just like swimming in it, like we are swimming in the body self when we are toddlers or little children, and we are swimming in a mind-made self where we don't see the observer or the limits of it when we are entering the mind-made sphere. And in the same way, that's my opinion and reasoning about it. Of course, it's like open space, and it's like no limits to be seen, and also no concepts or frame or standpoint to be seen when we enter this new space. But I think that when we would be like a society being in this space and being able to get access to this self with time, and this may take thousands and thousands of years or even more. This also would be the question, and even now for me the question arises, there is a perceiver, and if it is, so to speak, melted in the perceived space, which begs the question, what is this space? As we know and have heard, that space, even space, time, is non-existent from a new physical, quantum physical, or even transcend the quantum physics. I don't know that in detail, but I've heard also from Buddhists that even space-time is questioned now. So for me, from a Buddhist perspective, which takes everything in context and in relation, and only relation exists, there also has to be some relation or some perceiver who perceives this alleged not to be transcended and included whenever space. So it only can exist in relation. It only can exist from some perspective, even if we are not able to go beyond and find this perceiver at the moment, as we are lost in this new open space, so to speak. But there is, of course, the possibility that that we eventually can find these limits, or the context in which this all occurs eventually, and then we may even step below or beyond this kind of Rigpa primordial consciousness eventually. So again, I don't at all question the high achievement, the phenomenological approach, the liberation. I just question the attribution as absolute truth and relative truth. Even if these two melt finally, it's some kind of dualism that is made by that, and maybe we are not able as humans to get beyond this kind of dualism of a perceiver and a perceived eventually. So this was the point I wanted to make, and there may be let's say alien population somewhere in these huge multiverses who are looking at us like Neanderthals with this achievement, because they've gone far, far beyond that. So for me, it's of course, as these traditions come from spirit dynamics blue societies who have this absolute truth idea and claim, this is from their perspective ultimate truth. But we, as going to integral stages, stages, we can question that and say how high these achievements are and how delicate and sublime all these discoveries and inner landscapes and all this is, and we at the West are like using knives when they use high tech uh, in comparison, and I am full of appreciation for that. For me, it's like when we put these stages in context to our the states, sorry, the high states of these traditions into the stages like integral we have developed now, we maybe have to look at the final claim of or absolute claim in a different perspective, and this would take it to a contemporary contemporary achievement of West and East to see these both in accordance with each other and to evaluate the states of these communities or traditions from the integral approach we can attribute now from the Western perspective, and even value these achievements more as they, from their phenomenological depth and achievements, they are very integral, like observer and observed. All these quantum physics discoveries and the relational discoveries and the process and chaos theory and complexity theory supporting inner discoveries that aren't made by most of our even integral cognitive developed people. So I think these two can help and support each other in multiple ways. So I have to take a quick look if I forgot something I wanted to say. No, I think this was quite it. So I want to leave it here for now. It's a highly complex and very difficult topic, but maybe I could make my point. Thank you.